Hello everyone, my name is Muhammad Ibrahim Azwan, and on my left is Shahid and on my right is Lupi. And today we will be presenting about the visual aids in presentation. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, so first of all, the power of visual aids in enhancing oral presentation. The use of visual aids can transform presentation from plain and text heavy to dynamic and engaging, making messages more memorable and understandable. So, from this slide, we can understand that by using visual aids, we can make our presentation much more interesting and therefore engaging our audience, making them understand our slides and presentation better. So, what do you think, Ruby?
So Imran, like you said that visual aids would be engaging the audience by, let's say that in your presentation you add something like charts or graphs to prove your facts, so that will make the audience more focused on the facts that you've given, and they will believe that the fact is 100% true because you've proven your point in an interesting manner.
Oh, if I may, I guess that's very good point because like us, ourselves, we're using visual aids from time to time. Like we're using smart TV when we're giving our presentation, and that's make it more engaging with our audience, isn't it?
Yes. Especially like nowadays where technologies are often used worldwide. Not to mention that in our class, each of the class we have a smart TV now, right? So like Shahid said, with the use of technology, the visual aid can, how do I say, can increase the engagement of the audience.
Yes. Okay, now on to the next slide. We have clarity and legibility of visuals. Now what does this mean? It means that good design enhances legibility, ensuring that visuals do not detract from but instead reinforce the spoken content. So what this means is, when you are presenting, your visuals should be enhancing the content of your presentation. It should not take away or distract your audience from the main point of your presentation. If your visual is too heavy on the slide, it might distract them and make their understanding of the topic that you're presenting much more ineffective. So what do you think about this slide, Ruby?
So I think like some of the people they learn better when it's in visual forms. So like with the help of visual aids, right, you will accommodate to their understanding, learning preferences. So it will make the presentation more effective for them. Yes. So Shahid, do you have any points?
I think it's more to mean like we don't need to put too much visual on that. Like if we put the notes, it's just a simple note or graph that doesn't really put too much word on it, right?
Oh, okay. Good point, Jahid. Now, on to the next slide. We have strategic use of visual aids. Visual aids should be used strategically to complement and not overpower the verbal message, enhancing the overall impact of a presentation. So, just like the previous slide, this also says the same message. For example, on this presentation right here, I am using many of the spaces, but I'm not making it too crowded that the audience couldn't understand what I'm trying to give the message to them. So over here we have a picture, we have some words, and we have the main point. That way people can understand much better. Now, do any of you have any points?
So like Imran has said, that the way he uses he fully maximize the visual aids in the slide. It also means that maybe let's say that Imran uses charts, graphs or diagrams. So like if he puts too much information in one slide, it will make the audience becomes boring because like if me myself become Imran's audience and I'm watching his slide and there's like a lot of words and a lot of pictures and a lot of charts, diagrams in one slide, then I will be much less focused. Yeah.
So I think that strategic use of visual arts aids, like you put some of the image right, but not too crowded, like you said just now. Because if we put too much, if we put image, it's good because it can attract the audience attention. But if it's too much, the words gonna collide with the image and it's become too, what do you call it? Crowded, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ruby and Shahid. So now, for the next slide, we have the role of visual aids in presentation. So what is the role? What is its main purpose? Visual presentation in the visual aids in the presentation. Now over here we can see that visual aids make it easier for audiences to understand the message, especially when dealing with complex topics that might be hard to grasp through words alone. So for example, if you are a medical student, for example, and you want to learn about, I don't know, thermodynamics, well, you have to understand what thermodynamics is, but currently you're at the stage where you don't know what it is. So with the help of visual aids, you can make an example of how thermodynamics works, where it works, or how it even exists. That way, when you are trying to learn about thermodynamics, it would make it much more easier to learn about it. So yeah, that's my point. But you know,
I think like let's say that I want to learn about photosynthesis, right? So then my presenter, instead of putting on like the long description or definition of the photosynthesis, he take the main points and then he put it in the slide and make it like let's say like 3 bullets with 1 bullet for 1 sentence, and then that will actually make me understand the context even more better, because for me personally I'm more of a visual learner type guy. So like if my presenter do that, I think I will understand the topic better.
For me, let me take the medical perspective, like Imran just said just now. If we talk about the heart, where the blood flow and everything, if we just say it, we just express it with our words alone, like it's flow upward, going to right and left, it make it confused. It may become confusion because we're just saying it without really put it on the paper or something. So if we use visual aids, we draw arrow on it, and it's really clear to that.
Yeah, you guys make some good points there. Yeah, I agree. So for our next part of the presentation, visual aids make presentations more persuasive. So for this point, visual aids can strengthen the persuasive power of a presentation, as visuals like statistics, charts, and images provide evidence that reinforces arguments, making the message more convincing. So for example, if I am a salesman and I want to sell a car, I would probably have some images or any kind of statistic about cars. Like you want to put a good word for your car, right? Because you want to sell the car to a customer. But if I just say that, oh, this car is good, it can take you from point A to point B, it can make you go fast on the road, people are going to be convinced about buying your car because they don't see the advantage of just, well, having a moving object that can carry them from place to place. But if I have a statistic about this car that says this car can save your life if you put it to good use, or maybe even put some cool images about the car, that's how I can convince, that's how a salesman can convince someone to buy their car, making it more persuasive for them to take an action. So yeah, that's my point. So how about you guys?
So when he said, we take it that Imran is a salesman, right? So when he wants to sell his car, he needs to make the information that he's giving is relevant. Let's say that he put the image of a car, but then suddenly he puts an image of a tiger. Like, what's that? It won't be relevant, and the audience will be like, what is this? Like, yeah, you understand me, right? So we need to give the information in, what do we say, like the latest type of information about something that Imran, he as a salesman wants to sell. Like he said, statistics, so it needs to be the latest statistic, right?
So for making presentation more persuasive, I think it's really related to numbers, because if we put numbers in our writing, it becomes more like unsuitable, because we're writing but suddenly it's become statistic with numbers and all that. It's really make it like, what the hell is this doing? Yeah. So if we put like a pie chart, which we easier to know which is the bigger section, which is the smaller section. So it's really more persuasive for the audience to believe what we're selling or something. Like,
yeah. Alright, that was pretty good and solid information. Now, for our next presentation, visual aids can help audience visualize abstract ideas. For abstract or theoretical concepts, visual aids make ideas tangible using illustrations or models to help the audience grasp complex or intangible topics more easily. So I will take the easiest example for me to explain this point. When we are learning math in high school or middle school, we learn with numbers. But because we have to deal with large numbers and everything is so complex in the certain topics in mathematics, right? We use visuals, because with the help of visuals, we can make complex or intangible ideas much more simpler. Especially if we are dealing with kids, because they don't really like looking at monotonous, boring text. They don't like that. They are visual learners. So when we are using visuals, it can exponentially enhance our teaching in the classroom. Therefore, if we implement visual aids in our presentation or any of our teachings, especially in mathematics, it will make our audience much more willing to learn about the topic.
So do you notice that if we look at our math textbook, they will also like include not just images, but from that images they will make a story out of that. Like Amir has 2 apples and he gave 1 apple to Amira.
Yeah.
Right? So for kids, I think that's how they wanna give the intangible topics more easily to them. So that the kids, they will be interested in the story by reading them lah. So like using images or videos and then use that to do a story in your presentation will actually attract the audience attention, because who doesn't want to hear a story, right?
yeah, but I think that helping audience visualize abstract ideas, like more to process of something that sometimes kids aren't really can understand what we say. Like, we need to do this, then we need to do that, and after that, then it's a lot of things. But if we just put it on a graph or draft or something like that, we just put an arrow. So that means you need to do that after that. Then it's really helping the audience visualize what they need to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's my idea.
Yeah, good point. Okay, now we have creating a lasting impression. So memorable visuals can leave a lasting impression on audience, making them more likely to recall key points long after the presentation. For this point, I think that when we are using visuals, we should make the point of our messages resonate with the image. No, I mean the image resonate with the message. Because yeah, like Lupi said just now, right? For example, if you are selling a car, you can't expect people to buy your car if you're putting an image of tiger. Like, what are they gonna take away from that? Yeah, what are they gonna do with that, right? Because you're selling a car, why are you showing a picture of an animal? So it doesn't make sense. But also when, for example, of the persuasive point that I said just now, when you are putting an image, it better resonate with the message because it can make the audience recall and make their retention much more better. So it will make a lasting impact or impression on them. Yeah.
So, I think there's an interesting studies on it actually about the lasting impression of visual aids instead of just listening audio. So, there's the study said that visual aids can help you memorize something longer than just hearing it. So, like if you hear on a talk or speech like for 30 minutes or something like that, but you can't really recall what they say before that or after that. You really can't memorize anything inside the speech. But if you see an advertisement or a movie, somehow you can memorize it more than you heard a speech about the same topic. That's the point.
So, in my opinion, like creating a lasting impression. So when you're doing a presentation, like if you put an image or a video that will resonate deeply within the audience, let's say that you're making a presentation about flirt and how to prevent them. So maybe you can use some images of a house, what do you say, sinking under the water, right? So maybe the audience, maybe some of the audience have experienced such thing, and that will make the emotional engagement towards the presentation stronger, and it will leave a long-lasting impression towards the presentation. So in the end, they will remember what you said in your presentation, and yeah, I think that's a really good example, right? I give about a flirt.
Yeah.
And then if you suddenly put a house flying out the sky, then will make good sense.
Yeah.
That's really makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. Okay, so for our next presentation is conveying information quickly. Visuals enable faster communication of information, as the audience can often understand an image or chart more quickly than an equivalent verbal explanation. So, like Shahid said just now, for an advertisement, it is much better to use images rather than messages. Because if I look at a sentence that says astronaut on the moon eating ice cream, well, it's just a sentence. Maybe 1, 2, 10, 30 minutes later, I will forget about it. But if I saw an image about an astronaut on the moon eating ice cream, I can remember it much more clearly. I can remember the shape of the helmet of the astronaut. I can remember the color of the ice cream. I can remember where on the moon is the astronaut. Like, humans are visual learners. That's why when you're using visual, it is so much more effective than just putting long description of words. Like, people don't want to hear that anymore. So yeah, that is one of the most effective way of trying to present about something, using visuals to support your points.
So if you, I don't know if you have stumbled across it, but whenever I'm at a restaurant, and then when I was washing my hand, they would put a paper, and then they would say step-by-step tutorial how to wash your hand. And then actually it's the same concept in presentation, because let's say that you want to do a game session in your presentation with the audience. So you need to understand, you need to explain the rules to them. But if you are just talking, then maybe some of them would not understand. But if you put like a step or like a picture here and then here, by making like flow chart, maybe then they will understand it even more better. Yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Wait, I'm thinking that conveying information quickly, like just Imran said just now, that we're human, we learn from visual. Like from our what we call childhood or our baby phase. Like if we say something to a child, to a baby, they can't really understand what we say. But if we show them the example of how things work or how we do certain things, they really can do that even right after we show them, because that's how information will convey, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. So
the third point is simplifying complex information, which is simplifying complex information is a primary rule of visual aids in presentation by transforming intricate data and process into accessible formats such as diagrams, flowcharts, and infographics. Visual aids make it easier for audience to understand the content, such like I said just now, that we're maybe if we say something to them, it's a bit complicated for them to understand what we're saying. Instead, if we just show them how we do things or how we drink, we hold the cup of water and put it in our mouth. But instead, if we say to them, hold your cup, then they may like, what mom saying, like that. But if we just show them, it's directly show what they need to do. What about you?
Right. So let's look into the future. Let's say that you are now an English teacher, and then you need to do a presentation to the higher ups, talking about the percentage of students in the school that does know how to speak English and don't know how to speak English. So what will you do? Okay, of course you will do a survey, and then from the information you get from the survey, you make a graph, and then you put the graph in your presentation, just like the image right there as an example. So then when the higher ups would look at your presentation, they will see the graph, and then they will understand it even more better lah than you're using words, because who the hell wants to like watch a lot of words, right?
It's
so
true.
they will look at the image and then they will understand it even more better. So yeah, that's my opinion. But right, you have
So, for me, I think that if you want to simplify complex information, visual is the best way to simplify that information. For example, I am a visual learner. I love watching videos. I do not like hearing people talk for long amount of hours and having to, or maybe even reading long passages. I would rather watch a video on how certain things work rather than listening to someone for a long amount of time. So, for example, if I want to learn how to fix a car, I would not read a book. I would not go to a mechanic to listen to them. I would much rather watch a video on how to fix my car instead, because that way it is much more simpler. I can understand it through their actions. Yeah. Okay.
That's a really good point. But the next thing is quick data recognition, which is the human visual system can process broad statistics like average or extreme from visual in just fraction of a second. This quick recognition enables audience to capture the essence of data rapidly, minimizing the cognitive load and promoting better understanding. Like we said earlier, like if we use pie chart, we just look at it and we already know which is the bigger part of which is the extreme one and which is the lesser one. We just look at the pie chart. Didn't need to reading, didn't need to process the information all the way. We just look at it and we already know what it was. And that's for quick data recognition. How about you guys?
Alright, so let's say that in your slides right here, you put an image of an, let's say elephant, right? So then you ask your audience, what is this? And then they will answer, elephant, as fast as they could. Because like the point said that human vision system can process broad statistic like average or extreme from vision in a fraction of a second. So they will understand more when they see a picture instead of tons of words. Alright? So the quick recognition, let's say the elephant, right? The image of an elephant, the quick recognition. Let's say that you said something about elephant. You want to give a new fact about elephant that maybe not a lot of people know, right? Then you put the image of an elephant, and then when they answer elephant, you go on to the next slide, and then you say that elephant has 4 legs. That maybe some of them didn't know. It's only an example. So when they know that elephant is a 4. When they see the picture of an elephant and then they watch the next slide which say the elephant has 4 legs, they will remember that elephant has 4 legs. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because after that information is conveyed, they will understand it even more better.
Yeah.
So, just like where I'm going to take example from Shahid, right? Like, you can see a pie chart and then statistics. So, how that works is you can see the percentage of the pie chart, right? Like how big is this thing, how small is this thing, like that exemplifies a certain set of data for a certain type of things. Like for example, COVID-19, it happened a couple of years ago, right? So if for example, we see an information about a pie chart that talks about how many infected people on Earth has already been infected by COVID-19. So if we can see from the pie chart that they give out numbers and percentages on how many people have been infected, right? Like maybe in Malaysia we have 3% infected, in USA they have 50% infected, India they have 20% infected. But if for example we take out the numbers and just leave the size of the pie chart as it is, we could not understand what that would mean. Maybe USA is 100%, maybe India is 5%, maybe Malaysia is like just 1%, because the size of the pie chart is not given a set of percentage of how many people have been infected. So data, visual aids can help in simplifying the data, right? But if we do not put any confirmation on how much people have been infected by COVID, the pie chart will become useless. That is why using data and visual aids is so much important. We do not want to just focus on the visual aids, but we also want to focus on the message too, so that we can make the audience understand and engage with our presentation. Now,
let's move to the next point, which is reducing audience question and confusion, which is simplified, which will reduce unnecessary clutters, preventing confusion or question from rising in the audience mind. So let's take an example. If we want to sell a phone, like this phone, we say to our friend, we told our friend, like, I want to sell a phone, but they may ask question about what color is that phone, what size is that phone, and more thing that related to the phone. But if we just put this picture of the phone with the already have the accurate sizes and the colors of it. So they don't need to ask that simple question. Instead, they just really know about it with just a single glance. So, what do you think about it?
I think that when you say that visual aids can help reduce confusion and clutter in an audience mind, I think it meant you specify about something. For example, if you say that a cat ran across me just now, well, people, it's too general. Like everywhere you see, there's a cat, but which cat is it? Like it could be the orange cat, it could be the black cat, it could be the white cat. But if you, for example, have a picture of the cat, or maybe you give a more descriptive character for the cat, people would be people would understand much more better that way. For example, the cat ran in front of me, right? You could say the white fat cat ran in front of me just now. So that would make people understand on which cat had ran in front of you just now. That's my example and point.
Alright, so the example that I can give, which is I think the easiest one, is like the situation right now. How we are making a video, and at the start of the video, we already introduced ourselves as Imran, I am Lutfi, and Shahid. So in the future, maybe after you have finished watching the video, then you will ask, who's Lutfi, who's Imran, who's Shahid? So that type of question will not exist because we already gave our names and it has already specified which one of us is us. So who is Lutfi? I am Lutfi. Who is Imran? This is Imran. And who is Shahid? This is Shahid. So just like the Imran said that the big fat white cat ran past me. So they will know which cat ran past Imran by specifying the image. Yeah.
It's really funny when you're emphasizing that big fat cat. Alright. So the next one is highlighting key data points, which is infographic or charts can spotlight essential statistics or findings, presenting quantitative information in a visual and engaging and easy to interpret way. This visual connection allows presenters to emphasize the most relevant data, ensuring that the audience capture important information, such as like Imran given the example just now, like about the cars, where we put the car picture and then we put the detail there, but just in a simple sentence or just in one sentence or two sentences like that, which is really highlight the key data about the car, which how many horsepower or how many cc's it has and all that. So then the audience can just know that, oh, this is about this car, what it is about, and that we don't need to explain further about it. Alright, that's it for highlighting key data.
So yeah. Other than that, if you are mainly presenting, what you can do on highlighting key data points is like this right here. Like I changed the font of the main point that the audience should be focusing on brighter and bigger. So for this example right now, when I am trying to present about this thing right here, I would make it different from the supporting point. And if I want to make my point much more important for the audience to focus on, I would maybe change the main point into a red color. That way, their focus would shift much more better to the main point. So yeah.
In addition, let's say that you see this, there are lots of words, right? And then I bet that you are too bored to read all of this. Maybe in the slide I can highlight this. starting from this to the end, and then just use a bold font, or maybe I can highlight it with some colors to emphasize that that is actually the thing that I want to give to the audience. Like that's the point that I want to give to the audience. Yeah.
That's the important thing that you want to
that's the important
convey.
thing in the slide.
Yep. So,
Moreover, let's take a look into the engaging and retaining audience engagement. So, visual aids prevent monotonous presentation by adding a visual appealing element that capture audience interest. So, like before also, we have talked about how the difference between if we put all the words and the sentence just without any picture, it's really boring, isn't it? But if we put some picture but not too crowded, it's really take the audience interest. So, what do you think, guys think?
Okay, so let's say that I am a restaurant owner and I want to make a presentation to the mayor to open my restaurant. So what will I do? Okay, I will say that I will make a presentation. Alright, right? Is that the name is already presentation, right? So if I want to make sure that the mayor is engaged with my presentation, of course I will put a very good picture of the food that I made in my restaurant. Then the mayor will be like, oh, this looks good, right? So actually that already made the mayor interested in my presentation to open a restaurant. So in the end, I will be able to open a restaurant because of my presentation.
okay. Yeah, that's a good example. But in my opinion, an example that I can give is for an art exhibition. Now, people like looking at beautiful things, such as butterfly, flowers, or maybe their girlfriends, I don't know. But in the example of an art exhibition, you are competing with other artists and their products. So how do you stand out in this competition? By making your art much more prettier. That way, you will bring in more eyes to your art, your work. When people like looking at your piece, it will give you much more better opportunity in the future for your art to be exhibited in maybe a museum or any other kind of function. But yeah, that's how it is. The more you put in, the more you get. So yeah, that's my point.
Yeah, it's a great discussion, but I would like to present other point too. So the next is promoting learning and interest. So it's visual itself as a tool for making the presentation more impactful, motivating the audience to act on or think further about the information. Let's take an example. Why do people aren't really interested in reading books with just all sort of words, all sort of sentence, but people more interested in reading magazines, in sort of movies and all, because there's the visual that interesting to them, and even though somehow they're learning but still enjoying the lesson. Well, if we just read the books, we're learning, but if we're boring, we can't really take what we read. Alright, so that's the point.
So that's a really good point. But I would like to give you an example on how marketing works. So if you want to sell your product, you would need eyes and interest of the audience's eyes. Because if they are not interested on your product and they don't want to learn anything at all about your the thing that you are selling, you might as well just burn your money away in advertisement because you're not bringing in any audience for your product, right? So in order to do that, first you need an interesting image, and then secondly you need to hook them with great messaging. So it further proves that with visual aids you can make people much more interested in something and learning about that thing much more.
Yeah. I think I'm not gonna give more examples because both of them have already given, like I said, I would say the easy examples, right? So like Imran said, if you are promoting something, then of course you put a very good image, a very beautiful image, so that it will engage the audience to be attracted to your presentation, right?
Right, good. So the next one is encouraging audience participation, which interactive visual aids such as live polls, quizzes, and question prompts foster active audience participation, creating a two-way interaction between the presenter and the audience. So this one we can take the example of ourselves when we're in class, when we're doing presentation, such as anything that presented. So at the end of it, we will do about quiz time, right? But if we just quizzes, we just do like we ask someone and then nobody gonna do it, right? Gonna answer it. But if we make live poll, what do you think of their response? They may like more excited, more nervous. Like that's the thing that enhance audience participation. Like they're more focused on our presentation because they don't know who's gonna be the next frame, right? Yeah, that's the thing.
Right. Just as Shahid said, of course, it is a presentation where you give information, but it needs to be a two-way presentation too at the end of your presentation, because you want to make sure that the audience is focused on your presentation. Maybe while in the middle of your presentation, you could make like one page and then you ask them instead, so that it will become a two-way presentation. Because when you ask them, then there's already a two-way, and when they answer you back, right?
Yeah, and also like nowadays in modern society, we all have social anxiety, right? And we are quite shy when trying to participate in anything, especially if we are told to be in front. But if we use interactive quizzes or polls, there's an aspect of anonymity there. Like people don't know who these people are in these quizzes. So even if you make a mistake or if you are correct when answering a quiz, people won't know who you are. Or maybe until at the end of the quiz, maybe they'll know who you are. But aside from that, people are much more willing to participate in any kind of quiz if there's an aspect of anonymity there. So yeah.
Yep. Let's move into the next point, which is moving beyond traditional method, which is traditional chalk and talk methods are outdated, especially in today's digital age where student audience expect more engaging and varied presentation. Where let me take myself for example. I still remember that when I'm still in primary school, when there's the technology isn't that popular yet, where we still learn with chalk and everything, right? When the teachers are teaching us with the chalks, just talk about how we need to do this and that, somehow I found that most of my friends or my classmates fell sleepy, like even more for myself. But in the nowadays, we have like IT map, draft and everything. That's really interesting for us and keep us focused on that. So that's basically the most important part in moving beyond traditional methods.
So I think nowadays, when you are trying to teach people, little kids especially, the point that you're trying to present should be straightforward and synthesized. So what that means is you should keep you should keep it short and simple. That way, they can get the most out of your teaching. They can get the most benefit out of your teaching that way. Because, well, kids nowadays have short attention span. With thanks to TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, yeah,
I think like Imran said, like kids nowadays have a short attention span. It is also because we are living in a what do we say, in a globalization era where technologies keep on expanding, right? So even if the kids have short attention span, they will be 24 hours on their gadgets. So the way it works is actually like you share your presentation out there somewhere in the internet, right? And then maybe you will the kids will stumble across a presentation, let's say about animals. So it is actually very accessible to assess it instead of going to school. I mean, like, I'm not encouraging them to not go to school. I want to say that even if like anywhere or anywhen, even if they are not at school, they will still be able to learn, because even if there's no teacher or like chalkboards or whiteboard like that, they can also access the information from the internet. Alright, so let's move on to the sixth point, which is creative visual aid element. So using very visual formats such as mind maps, animations, it will keep the presentation engaging, fresh, and more likely to hold the audience attention. So what it means by this is, in your presentation or any presentation, if you use like lots of visual formats, let's say that in one presentation, in one slide, you put an image and a video. So then when you watch the video, it will make the audience more interested in your presentation, because it's not always that you can watch a video when in the middle of a presentation, right? So by using this type of visual format elements, you can keep the presentation engaging with the audience.
Yeah, I think that's the case too, because when I was in 4-5, I'm trying to face my SPM, right? Visual aids really help a lot in making me memorizing the useful information that I need to memorize, right, in my exams. So using mind maps or anything that I use, it really helps to really simplify and make the content that I need to memorize shorter. Because if I try to memorize really long passages, I'm not really learning effectively, right? Because I'm just reading, I'm not memorizing. Like, who wants to memorize something so long? No, right? Yeah.
So the other things that creative visual aids element, like if we learn about history, for example, because the history mostly compasses on words, like the story all going, like we're talking, just giving storytelling, like, but somehow if we turn that story into movies or into a magazine or like something that with visual, it's help the students or the audience focus and what we call memorize the history more instead of just telling and just reading it, right? That's it.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's move on to the next slide, which is infographics for clarity and appeal. So by combining visuals with text, you will be able to create an appealing and easy to understand summaries about your presentation. So let's say that I'm doing a presentation about visual aids, and then at the end of the presentation, I put on like a picture with several images in it that explains the whole presentation in one image. Let's look at the image here. Okay, so the first one, you can see that there are lots of images, right? And then each section of the image have different colors. So instead of like you explaining in a lengthy explanation, you just give one simple image that concludes all of your presentation. So let's see, time management, your main goals, concentration, unit coffee, and your estimate. So that is like the easy to understand summaries for the audience.
So it's just summarization.
Yes, basically like it wants to make your audience more easier to understand your presentation. Alright, okay, and then let's move on to animations for visual appeal and engagement. So animation adds movement, making presentations more dynamic and visually appealing, which can help maintain audience focus. So it's just like how I said earlier about putting a video in your slide. People want to see something moving and image, right? So you could be explaining about cat, and then you put on the animation of a cat, and then they will know. So this is how a cat move, right? So it will increase the engagement of the audience towards your presentation about cats.
Yeah.
Do you have any?
So like animation for visual appeal and engagement. Like we take kids, for example, like if their mothers just told them what is the moral of their life and everything, but instead they maybe more memorize the things that they learn from animation, such as Agent Ali, Upin Ipin, and sort. Maybe that's the thing where the animation, which sorry about that.
Right, let's say that you said kids watch Agent Ali, right? And then you want to make sure that the kids are engaged with your presentation. So you put on a picture of that Agent Ali, and then you put a quote right next to the image, like wash your hands before you eat. So the kids will remember that, oh, Agent Ali said to wash my hands before I eat. I mean, that's the simple explanation, right? Right.
But if you think about it, animation nowadays are absolutely stunning if you just found one of those gems. Like, if you watch a movie called Ultraman Rising a couple of years ago,
Yes.
oh my goodness. the animation is absolutely stunning. From the beginning to the end. It just gets your adrenaline rushing, right?
So even the adults love the movie.
Yeah. So if you like put animation, even just a little bit of animation, it would just make so much of a difference in your presentation, because people like to see things move. People like to see something, appealing things, something static coming to life. That's just how like Disney, the hit movie like Toy Story,
Like how supposedly like a noun toys moving, right?
Yeah.
And people want to see that something moving, something static that is moving, including your presentation. So if it's just like this, I'm really sure it is boring, right? But if I were to add the picture moving, like I don't know, moving something left or right, then people will like it.
Maybe.
It won't be so boring if something is moving in your slide.
Yeah.
Right. So next up is adapting visuals to audience needs. Choosing visual aids that resonate with specific audience needs or preferences, such as visual learners, makes presentations more inclusive and impactful. So like I said earlier, that some people are visual learners, so they will learn something from just watching it. So if me, a presentation, I know my students are all of them are visual learners, so of course I will be using things like images, videos, infographics, or charts and graphs, right, to make them feel interested in my presentation. Right.
Yeah, but like, if you are using visual aids, for example, if you are using visuals for your audience, let's take for example a child that has
Special needs.
yeah, special needs, and they have a disease called they're epileptic. Do not put any flashing lights or fast moving images in your slide, because they will have a seizure. So you need to understand who you're presenting to, and you need to understand their background a little bit, or else you're going to have a bad time with those kids.
Yeah. So there's like some are special needs for colorblind, also like that. So when we're using images, we need to consider that too, right? When we use some certain colors that can be seen by them.
Yeah.
Because some students can't really see what others see. So that's the needs of adapting visuals to the audience needs.
Alright, thank you very much. So let's move on to the next point, which is organizational patterns, language, style, and structure. So presentations must have a clear organizational structure for visual aids to be effective. Without structure, presentation can become cluttered, confusing, and disengaging for the audience. Alright, so just look at this presentation. You can see that there is like the number, right, the order 7.0, because before this point we have tons of points. We have 6.0, 5.0, 4.0. So that is actually the organizational patterns. So you need to organize your presentation and list out which one of the points that you want to give first before moving on to another. And then you need to make sure that you are using the correct language style. So instead of maybe you are gonna use like Royal English, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, of course you're not gonna use Royal English, because we are using modern English, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you suddenly use like some other English other than the ones we are using right now, then people might be confused. They might not even understand what you're saying, right? And then do you have any
like organization patterns, like some what we call that circle or square or anything that when we're making notes, if we put it in certain pattern, or for example we put it on circles, it's make more if it's processed, like the mosquito life cycle. So it's make more sense instead of we just put it in 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we make it more sense. That's it.
Yeah. It's like, a building.
Mm-hmm.
If a building does not have its structure, then it's going to crumble apart in a couple of years, and it's going to be a disaster for everyone. But if the building is in a structured manner, you have the wall, the roof, the windows, the pillar, it will stand up for a long time. Like the presentation too. If I just put my presentation anywhere and everywhere until it becomes nonsense, people won't understand it, and people won't get what you're trying to say. Yeah.
So let's move on to the next point, which is engagement through structured delivery. So organizational patterns help maintain the audience attention. A structured delivery allows the presenter to guide the audience smoothly through the information. So I think Imran has already unconsciously explained this, because the way he said it is, if he were to make a presentation and he just put his slides anywhere and he will become nonsense, then the audience will not understand a single damn thing what he said, right? So if we were to, like I said, if we were to structure our presentation in a correct order, then the audience could receive the information more clearly and smoothly, because one information at a time, and the information is not too heavy or too light, right? So do you guys agree?
Yes.
Right? You agree?
I guess so.
Right.
Okay.
I think this is the part where everyone will cheer, right? 810, the conclusion. So, what is the conclusion from our presentation? So, we could say that modern presentation must be exceptional to achieve the highest audience engagement and to make the content memorable. So, by the help of visual aids, we could achieve the highest audience engagement in our presentation, because we've already explained about how we could use visual aids in our presentation, and like some things that we can use to make the audience even more engaged, so that they will not lose focus, especially nowadays. Like Imran said, people have what do we say? Short
attention span.
Yeah, short attention span. So I think that is all from us. My name is Muhammad Lutfi Hadi bin Ahmad Nizamuddin.
I am Imran.
And I am Shahid.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Bye.